In order to save money on her grandson's formula, the grandmother actually unbuttoned her clothes and squeezed out half a bottle of breast milk from her own body. As she was feeding it to her grandson, her daughter-in-law suddenly returned home. The daughter-in-law immediately noticed that the color of the milk was different from the usual formula. She questioned the grandmother about what was in the bottle. The grandmother then explained it was her own breast milk. The daughter-in-law was in shock, since the grandmother was almost 60 years old. How could she still have breast milk? At that moment, the son rushed back home. He told his mother that the results of her medical checkup had come back, and she was diagnosed with a breast tumor. The white liquid that had been leaking recently was actually blood from the tumor. The daughter-in-law was immediately terrified. She quickly checked if the baby had any adverse reactions. Then, the baby suddenly started vomiting. The family rushed the baby to the hospital. Thankfully, after a stomach wash, the baby was fine. Realizing her mistake, the grandmother quickly apologized to her son and daughter-in-law. She said she would go downstairs immediately to buy a new can of formula. The son repeatedly reminded her not to worry about the cost and to make sure to buy good quality milk. However, halfway there, the grandmother began to worry about the money. Coincidentally, she found an unopened can of milk near a trash bin. Excitedly, she took it home and poured 2 glasses for her son and daughter-in-law, not noticing the milk's production date. But the sensitive daughter-in-law tasted it and immediately noticed something was wrong. She saw that there was sediment at the bottom of the milk. The grandmother hesitated and explained that it was a new flavor from the supermarket. Before she could finish explaining, the daughter-in-law felt a sharp stomach pain. Even her usually strong son was curled up in pain on the floor. The daughter-in-law quickly ran over, clutching her stomach, and realized the milk was actually 20 years past its expiration date. Reluctantly, the family had to be taken to the hospital again. Before they left, the son reminded his mother to keep an eye on the baby and not to go out looking for trash anymore. But the grandmother couldn't sit still. After turning on the TV for the baby and locking him inside the house, she went downstairs to collect more garbage. Unfortunately, she didn't realize she was about to cause another disaster. A discarded battery in a corner suddenly short-circuited, igniting the pile of junk outside the door. The baby, locked inside, realized the fire and started screaming for help. The neighbors, smelling smoke in the stairwell, immediately noticed the fire and called 911. At the same time, the son, who was still in the hospital, heard that the house was on fire and rushed home in panic. But after hearing the neighbor's warning, the grandmother realized the baby was in danger, and she rushed into the fire without hesitation.